the worst thing usually that they account for is the server gets unplugged or there's, some kind of, electrical power failure. Whereas here, the server might not exist tomorrow.
That gets back to why it's so important to have this blend of military culture and military, veteran expertise along with technical expertise, because I can now help translate that into the right message for the right audience.
We don't just come in and say, all right, here's the checkbox of the contract. We gave you X, Y, and Z, and we're done. No, we're like changing the culture, changing mindsets about how this software should operate.
Yes, we want to be able to deliver these advanced capabilities for you. We want to be able to deliver 5 nines of availability. We want to be able to, but it's an entirely different environment if someone's going to be shooting back at you.
Hi, my name is Lucas Ramage, and I'm an enterprise solutions architect at Onebrief. I would say the way that you can view my role is as essentially a principal consultant in the areas of infrastructure and compliance.
I'm Steve Clement. I started with Onebrief in 2024 as our operations manager for our account with United States Space Command. I joined the infrastructure team about 3 or 4 months ago as a technical delivery manager, and I'm currently serving as a space company commander with the Army National Guard. It's great that we have such a diverse set of backgrounds on our team that can bring best practices out of industry and help bring it to customers that sometimes take longer to field new technologies because they're, wed to the processes of government agencies. So, it gives us the ability to help show the destination that we're going to and the utility and communicate more meaningfully with our customers about the added value that they gain from employing a new piece of technology and changing a business practice around that. And that's way easier to do when we have people on our team who have seen that same type of work done in the commercial space. And that's where having someone like Lucas on our team is huge, because his depth of expertise has been invaluable in helping our customers understand what it is that we're trying to do when we pitch them a particular solution.
That's a great question. So essentially, like my whole career, I've been supporting what would be called like critical infrastructure, especially through open source projects. I would say most companies, they're striving for essentially 5 nines of uptime. But the worst thing usually that they account for is the server gets unplugged or there's, some kind of, electrical power failure. Whereas here, the server might not exist tomorrow, right? So when we talk about redundancy and resiliency, our disaster recovery planning accounts for essentially, we look at backups almost on a daily basis to make sure that we have redundant copies of customer data geographically distributed to make sure that at any given point, we're able to do a restore, which we've done. So I'm pretty impressed by that.
And that's an area where Lucas and I have had a decent amount of fun bouncing ideas off of one another of what is the right amount of resiliency, redundancy, and what is the customer's real requirement for those capabilities? We are obviously a for-profit business and trying to explain to our customers that, yes, we want to be able to deliver these advanced capabilities for you. We want to be able to deliver 5 nines of availability. We want to be able to, but it's an entirely different environment if someone's going to be shooting back at you. And helping them understand the trade-off of capabilities that may exist, or helping them accurately prioritize their own resources and our resources, frankly, so that we're actually building something that's most valuable to them. I think that's the crux of what we're really getting at here, is how do we bring that blend of commercial creativity and help apply that to create meaningful solutions for our customers.
Honestly, that's pretty much what we do daily, weekly. So that really is the heart of the mission for us. And I would also say that if you look at what enterprise architecture is, those are really big words to simply describe aligning people, process, and technology in a way that makes sense from a business perspective. So I can go and look at a problem and say, there are 6 different ways that I can solve this with these technologies. And then having somebody like Steve jump in and say, well, these are the ways that the customer has implemented their processes that helps us to align internally with each other on these mission requirements, and then also communicate that back up to leadership. But the thing about our customer base is that they need timely solutions, and they need us to be very dynamic and responsive in those solutions. And so this might be the best approach on paper from like a software perspective. And then other times we go with approaches that are really what the customer is asking for and need, and figuring out how to work back from there.
Yeah, one of my favorite parts about government contracting, honestly, is that the government will frequently use the same words in contracting language to describe very, very different things, right? So they'll say something like, I want a resilient, failover capable network architecture. But what does that really mean? And two different clients of ours may use that same verbiage to describe two very, very different actual operating environments they need their software to be performant in.
Our company is full of people who, they don't just say values, they show them, right? And so that is a very powerful combination when you consider we want to have resilient software. We want to have infrastructure that supports even in the most severe situations. And so being able to have team members that you're able to rely on really does help shape the software that we build. As somebody who's always been exposed to the technology side, one of the things I find exciting about this job is being able to go out and touch customers. To Steve's point earlier, like the customer lit up when we were understanding what they were saying. So the other aspect of this is truly like just human to human communication and having a shared understanding and language that we can use to make our points heard with each other. Case in point, like for example, disaster recovery is huge, especially when you go in and talk to a customer where it's like, all right, we're deploying onto government-owned infrastructure. They've supplied the hardware. We just put our software on top of it. But we've got to go back in there and point out like, hey, in order to have true, high availability here, we need a redundant site that we can essentially transition all this data over to. And so that's one of the interesting things about how we operate here is that we don't just come in and say, all right, here's the checkbox of the contract. We give you X, Y, and Z, and we're done. No, we're like changing the culture, changing mindsets about how this software should operate.
Yeah. But that gets back to, everything we've been talking about so far really gets to, we are driving organizational change along with our customers. And some customers come to this, both feet in it, like, yep, this is what we're doing, transformation, here we go. Others, it's, some insurgency almost from inside of their own organization. It's like, there's got to be a better way to do this, right? And we come and say, yes, we can help. But how do we convince everyone else inside of that organization that that's the direction that they ought to move in? That gets back to why it's so important to have this blend of military culture and military, veteran expertise along with technical expertise, because I can now help translate that into the right message for the right audience. As someone who still wears the uniform part-time, I'd say, like, go Army. If you're some 18-year-old kid watching this for some reason, like, this has been a remarkable experience, a remarkable journey. It's done amazing things for my family and opened up incredible opportunities for me. Choose to serve for a while, because regardless of whether you choose to do 5 years or 20 years, the doors that it opens are just incredible. You never know where you're going to wind up. And I'm incredibly blessed to be standing where I am today and getting to talk, with a friend of mine like Lucas. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I'll also add that while I was never in uniform, I come from a very strong military heritage. So I have, 3 generations of military behind me, and then all of my siblings, not all, but most of my siblings have been in the military. We've got Army, Marine Corps, and Air Force, and now Space Force with one of my younger sisters. This is truly important work. It's important to me because of the ties that I have in my family. And I would say that to anybody working in technology, there's the human element, like a lot of emotions happening around different situations that I've been involved when working in this job that, if you're just watching monitoring and you're on call and doing all the regular tech things, like, yes, it's important, but like there's another layer to it, considering the people that we're supporting. So that this is very personal to me, and I think that if you do want to get into this type of work, just make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons, because it will change lives.